This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob. Now, of course, by the title, there is going to be great division by what I wrote. And when you start talking about Heroquest, there are two sides to it. There are those that remember how great it was, and then there's those that remember a lot of great experiences with it in their childhood, but can find it completely irrelevant nowadays, or completely outdated or overrated. And then you have your collectors who are just so mad at Hasbro for reprinting this because they had copies and people remember the experiences they had as a kid playing this game. And this was a very, very, very expensive game. It really was at one point. And what sparked this whole thing was I went into GameStop the other day to go get something. And I saw 6 copies of this. And they're starting to discount it. And it's all over the place. I saw it there. I went to another place. I saw a bunch of them there. I went to the Bearded Brown Coat. They had a couple there. And I'm going, 6 years ago, if you saw a copy of Heroquest, you started shaking at one point. Now, it's great that Hasbro reprinted it. But when they reprinted this, did it take away from the magic that it was a Grail game? Because does it hold up today? Is it overrated in a way? Because now you play it and you go, ugh. And, with games like Irun, which, take and, honor the game and just made things better with the app, you're like, oh my God, this is everything that you want Heroquest to be. Games are just out there doing it better. A lot better. Okay? Does Heroquest hold up? Is it overrated? Is it holding on to memories that we all had as a kid? Now, listen, I'm not here to bash Heroquest. I'm just wondering, has reprinting it taken some of the magic away? Yeah, I agree that we're going to see in the comments, hey, something, I introduced my son to this and we did X, Y, and Z. And it was a lot of fun. And he found out he wanted to see more. He moved on to Shadows of Brimstone, whatever, Frosthaven, whatever you want to, say. But I just wonder, when I think about this and I see the exposure of it, and of course, let's be honest, with all the bitter taste that people have over Hasbro nowadays, are there better games out there as a introductory dungeon crawl? Okay, does Kinfire do a lot of things? Does Irun do a lot of things? Very simple system. Pericles, how does that fit in? Tales of the Red Dragon Inn, very simplified dungeon crawl. We're seeing more simplified dungeon crawls that are taking the slot that once belonged to Heroquest. And, you have your hardcore people that, oh no, I live and die by it. But there's a lot of people that went out and got that Kickstarter, got it, and go, boy, this isn't as I remembered. This isn't as much fun as I remembered, because times change. Everything changes. Okay? What was once, everything just has its shelf, its life shelf on the shelf, basically. Yeah, I twist that up. But what I'm trying to say is more or less, you can have the most popular TV show in the world, Seinfeld. Okay, eventually at some point, people go, I've seen enough of this. Okay, it's time to move on. This isn't as it jumps the shark or moves on. I Love Lucy, some of the greatest shows of all time. Nowadays, we'll watch them 15, 20 times. But at some point, people go to something else. It's something new. And I think this is what's happened to Heroquest. Is it overrated? I think our childhood and having so very little really made this game more than what it really was. And heck, even I did. It was more than it ever really was. And when I got the reprint, all the expansions, and do I want to take it out? Well, I'd rather play. I'd rather play this. I'd rather play that. I'd rather play Chaos. I'd rather play Oathsworn. I'd rather play. There's like 15 other things I'd rather play, and I look at it and I go, it's there. I'll always keep it because it means something to us here. It hits here. But as far as its overall gameplay, even the app is kind of, when you look at Irun, and what that app does and how it does it, it pays homage to the great Heroquest, but it just does things better. They didn't try to make things better. They just reprinted it. What if they tried to improve the system? What if they tried to do this or that? Would that change how a lot of us feel about it? Or even I feel about it? I don't want to take away from its legacy. Okay? I think it is a great game that has its place in history. Okay? It really does. It's a Hall of Fame game. Because back then there was nothing. And to have a simplified Dungeons and Dragons type of game where you could sit down with your friends and go, oh my God, who's going to be Zargon? This one guy has always got to be the DM. And just be able to get people that normally would not want to sit there and create this massive character. And just sit down and beer and pretzel a game and have a great time. That's what we remember. Okay? It was ahead of its time. It did a lot of things. It was the only one around. And it did it very well. But nowadays, when we look at it, were we just in love with the fact that it was the only game in town? Or, that really stood out and was easy and accessible and simplified enough to have some fun on a Friday or Saturday night? Maybe so. But it still has its place in history. So calling it overrated, maybe that's a little extreme. But seeing if it's relevant today, I don't know. I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm still out on this, but I'm looking forward to all the comments in the bottom and kind of trying to put this into perspective. Does this have a place in today's games? And, what do you think? And something I may even use that as the title. Does Heroquest have its place in today's games? And I wonder, do you skip over that or do you go to something else? It's interesting to hear what you have to say on this very historic game. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon, everybody.